Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. This video is more on the random side because I have more time-consuming projects in making, so I need to distract you with a little bit more easy to make kind of content, and this sit down talk about my favorite tools slash materials, instruments for miniature specifically, but for craft in general seems like a reasonable video to make. So I hope you will enjoy it, and let's keep rolling. If you ever stepped up into a miniature world, there is not a secret to you that balsa wood is the best thing for creating miniature furniture. It's easy to cut, and it's also bending in shape that you need. But at the same time, it's very airy and it's fragile, and I don't like to use it for every single project. Sometimes I like to use more dense type of a wood, like a linden tree, but this is on a more expensive side, and you don't want to use it for every single project, especially if you're not sure about the results and you just wanted to experiment with something. In that case, I like to use cardboard, but not just a regular cardboard, this really dense pressed one. In Russia, it's called beer cardboard for some reason. I know it's a funny name, but I guess like in all parts of the world, it's just a mat board, and it's pretty cheap. Like this whole pack cost me like $1.20, $1.30, something like that. It's also a good quality cardboard. The funny thing is, on a label it says that you don't have to use it with liquids because it can warp, and yes, this is true, but at the same time I didn't have any problems creating miniatures because I'm not using a lot of liquid with my paint, and I don't use a lot of glue, even though it could warp from a PVA glue. Again, just a tiny little bit doesn't hurt anybody. So yeah, this is one of the favorite materials for miniatures. Highly recommend. I know we are starting from the boring basics, but I can't imagine my crafting life without those two tweezers, specifically this fine tip pointed tweezers is my #1 priority, and the other one is also fine tip, but also a little bit like bend angled. I just can't stress enough. It saved me so many times in my miniature projects. And while we are covering the basics, rulers. I have so many, I can't even tell you, but this is my #1 favorite ruler ever, this 20cm metal basic ruler, because sometimes when you cut in something, your X-Acto knife just doing the wrong move, but this always works because it lays down flat, and if you cut it with the knife, it doesn't matter, it doesn't hurt the ruler. My other favorite one is this one because it has like a triangle shape, so it's very sturdy when you're laying it down on some surface. And again, the good basics is a guarantee of the good result. I've been practicing doing miniatures for more than 5 years, and till this day I'm struggling very much with cutting the straight lines and measuring the right angle, and there's a few tools that helps me with that. First and foremost, this cutter. Even though it's not as sharp as it used to be when I just got it, it sometimes like breaks some airy materials like balsa wood, but it still cuts perfectly some more dense materials, and there is a perfect cut every single time, so I highly recommend. This is not a very expensive tool, but so useful. Something that I never seen online somebody else using is this acrylic seam allowance guides. I googled the name, I have no idea if this is right, but it's helps me to have a consistent distance from the edge of whatever material I'm using, because it's supposed to do that, but only with fabric, and I'm using it with wood, with paper, with plastic, so I'm just lining up this thing with the edge and then just marking the straight line or cutting, and it's a perfect result every single time. And I'm so proud that I have found this solution for my problem. So if you have the same problem, you're welcome. I will try to find a link to this on Amazon or something, but if not, I'm sorry, this is just an idea, but it really helped me so many times. And again, I have not seen this solution everywhere else, so I really was excited to share it. So we figure out the cutting, but what about the gluing? I have another boring answer to that. For different type of materials, of course, you need different types of glue, and you cannot use the PVA glue for plastic, but for wood and paper, this is my number one choice. And specifically this type of tubed PVA with a pointed nozzle, because it's so convenient to use it. Of course, you can pour a little bit of glue and use a toothpick to apply it, but it saves so much more time, and again, it's so useful. Surprisingly, it's so hard to find the tube like that without compromising the formula, because I've seen a lot when the glue is too watery, and it's not what I like. I like the good thick PVA. And previously, when I couldn't find this option, I bought this little pointed bottles for glue, but it's not the best option, because the glue dries out in a point very quickly if you're not using it for a few days. You can basically throw it away because the nozzle is blocked. But if you don't have this type of options on your market available, there is also a solution. Since the beginning of time, for ages, I've been using basic acrylic paints for everything in my crafting. And of course, there's a different types of paints, and some for just basic work, some for fabric, and there is some paints for your airbrush pen. But only this year is the year when I discovered that you can use model paints. And this is like the life before and after, because I think I will choose this over other acrylic paints from now and forever, because it's so pigmented. And yes, it's a little bit on more expensive side. It's an investment, but you can mix your own custom color out of the different paints from the same brand, and it's glides perfectly. You just need one layer for everything. It's just the best thing ever, so I cannot recommend it enough. And if you haven't tried it, please do, and let me know in the comments what you think about it, because you will thank me later. Another thing in my crafting arsenal is such a gem. I'm so glad I finally have it. It's this thermoplastic, and it's not just a regular thermoplastic, because locally we have some options and they are weird. They doesn't give the same results. So when I was in Japan, I bought a lot, and I'm stuck up for the next few years, I guess, but I'm so happy I did, because the quality is amazing and it's so easy to use. Unlike your typical kit to create a silicone mold when you have to measure liquids in certain proportions and everything is a mess, you just put it in hot water and then shape it to the shape you want, and it's so beautiful. And the molds that you can have as a result are so detailed. And the best part is that this is reusable. If you don't need this anymore, you put it in hot water and change to whatever you want. So I'm so happy I have it. If you would ever have a chance to buy it, grab as much as you can, because you will need this. Once you try it, you can't go back. You will use it in every project possible. This one is a little bit weird, but at the same time reliable, because I'm working a lot with paper and wood. Obviously, you can tell it from this specific video. Sometimes I need to prevent it from warping if I'm gluing some pieces together. And for that purposes, I'm using 2 old books and 2 barbell plates. One is 2 kilograms and another one is 5 kilos. Oh, it's so heavy. Depending on the size of the piece I'm gluing, I'm using the smaller or bigger book, so it would flatten out the surface and then the weights can do a job. It's more like a tip rather than the actual tool I'm using, but also it's something you need to think about ahead, and this thing is really helpful. Like, I use it in every project. Who would have think, huh? And last but not least, these two jars. And first one is air dry soft clay. This reminds me of a gum once it wet, but you can sculpt it in any shape, and once it dries it stays in this shape. And I like to use it to imitate the texture on the walls or on the floors, like a brick texture, for example. I also like to use gypsum, but it adds so much weight to the miniature, and this weighs nothing, and it's also a very cheap option, so I really like to use that. And the other jar is acrylic paste, which is self-explanatory. I use it for everything. I lost account of how many jars of this I used in the past. I use it to fill small gaps and seams and adding texture to the walls and creating a slightly rough, worn look and build up small details and imperfections. I use it a lot in my Stray game diorama. You saw that in the previous multi-passionate vlog series. I used it a lot, and it's for everything. So I think this is it for today. If you have any ideas what sit-down videos I should do next, maybe about some other corners of my crafting collection, I would really appreciate it if you would share it in the comments down below. And for now, I want to thank you for keeping me company for a bit. And until next time, stay cozy, curious, and crafty. Bye-bye! Чусики!